Hello, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Magic, episode 4. Almost said 5. If you are unfamiliar with this series, I am doing a live chat interview every month with a fellow fantasy author, and trying to get our interviewee into the chat here. Oh, here we go. Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Can you hear
perfect.
me?
Yeah.
All
Awesome.
right.
So as I was saying, Behind the Magic is a series of interviewers with fellow fantasy authors where we talk about the magic and world building behind the author's books. So today I have with me, is it Kaylee?
It is Kaylee,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. I say Kaylea in my head because reading Instagram names is always a fun. But okay, so we have Kaylee with me today, and she is the author of A Spark from Embers, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. So if you guys have any questions, either during the live or if you come across this video in your feed, feel free to drop the questions in the comments and we'll answer them after the fact if we have to. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through the questions. There's 7 questions. Every author that I interview has the same 7 questions, and it's quite casual and easygoing. So give as much information as you want. And yeah, so we'll start with just give us a short synopsis of your book, or a long synopsis. Just what's your book about?
So Spark Remembers is the first book in a planned 4-book series, historical fantasy series. The series is called Tears of Flame, and it takes place during World War One. So it follows like the 4 years of World War One,
Cool.
sort of like one book for each year. And I guess a little tagline for it. Not, I won't give the full synopsis, but I'll just read it a little bit here. So it says, on the verge of succumbing to obscurity and an unwanted marriage, an awkward girl in 1914 Canada with a naive sense of heroism enters a portal to the magical world of Arway. But after antagonizing the commander of the industrious Red Paths and nearly killing herself with her own forbidden celestial magic, she must trust her new friends and confront her inner flaws before she loses everyone she loves and irrevocably changes the world where she finally belongs. So that's my little like log line for it. I kind of comp it to 10,000 Doors of January meets Narnia. So if
Okay,
you know
cool.
10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow, and then the Narnia series, specifically Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but really, a little bit from the whole series, the idea of portal magic and everything. But it's Narnia, but except, if Lucy had gone through the wardrobe alone,
Right.
leaving Edmund behind to enlist in the battles of World War II for that one, and the demons of his inner witch is sort of what I say there. So yeah, and
Nice.
then for the whole series, it's like kind of two worlds linked by war, bound by a secret of electrical science, two siblings separated by a closed mirror portal, and one girl, Sadie, our main MC, who can destroy or save them all.
Nice. No, I like it.
Yeah.
That's really unique. You don't see a lot of, well, at least I haven't seen a lot of stories with that kind of premise. So, do we get to see, because the brothers in the real world, do we get to see his point of view at any point? Like, does it go back and
We
forth between
do.
real and imaginary?
Yes, it does. So the first book, A Spark from Embers, has just the two point of views. For the most part. There's a prologue and epilogue tag down there from a different point of view, but and it's Sadie who is the sister and Connor who is the brother, and Sadie does get a lot more
Right.
book time in the first book, but as the books go on, Connor will get more too, as there's sort of more for him to do on his side in the war and everything, and yeah.
No, that's super cool. I really like that. It's so unique.
Oh, great. Thanks.
And then is it a novella, The Tragedy of Sacrifice? Is that
Yeah.
connected or separate?
It's connected, but
Okay.
so I sort of am doing novellas kind of in between each main installment of the series. So the main books, the four books will follow Sadie and Connor. But all of my sort of side novellas are other points of our way's history with other characters, and they all tie into the main series. And there's always things that will sort of hint at or influence things in the main series. But they're also standalones in the sense that they could just be read by themselves, and you can still understand them without having read Sadie's story at all, or the main series. So, but yeah, a Tragedy of Sacrifice and A Ballad of Hate and Hope. Hate and Hope are the two novellas that I have out right now, and then working on more as I go
Oh,
too.
that's really cool. I like that.
No, thanks.
Okay, so the next question is more just about you, I guess, as a writer. So, like, how long have you been writing? Tell us your writing journey. Yeah.
A long time. I've wanted to be a writer and author, forever. It's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. So I've definitely been writing on and off for a long time. This particular book, embarrassingly enough, has been in the works for like 20 years. It started when I was 17 in grade 12, and I was in a writing class and did NaNoWriMo for the first time. And
Mm.
so that like first 50K words that I had to do for NaNoWriMo was the beginnings of A Spark from Embers. Of course, changed a lot
I
since
can
then.
imagine.
But that's the beginning of sort of like where the world building happened and the characters starting to form. And so yeah, so I always say like I've been writing it since I was 17, but like very much on and off. It wasn't something that I was like actively pursuing all the time. I would, I was in university and I would like scribble world building notes in the margins of my notebooks in class and that kind of thing. Um, and I don't think I finished a first draft of it until I was like probably like 2013 or something, or so it was like probably 6 or 7 years before I finished a first full complete draft, because I wasn't working on it full time. Um, and then it took a long time after that. I had kids, I got married, I had, like there's a lot of life things happening, new careers starting, and the same thing. It was always kind of a back burner project, just whenever I had some time to do it. But yeah, I went through multiple drafts, rewrites, edits, over and over and over again. Excuse me. Probably didn't start taking it really seriously until like 2019, 2020. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I really want to do something with this. And so made sure that I sort of got the final edits that I needed to actually send it to an editor, got all of, the ducks in a row to try and get it published, and decided to, yeah, go for it. So,
That's awesome. I
yeah.
think I think that sometimes like the best books are the ones that take you a really long time to do, even though that might seem like backwards, but I think it just shows that they're good ideas and that they're like really important if you hold on to them as long as that you hold on to them, right?
Yeah, it certainly was something that meant a lot to me, and the characters just kind of stuck in my head. So I didn't really want to give that up because they just lived with me for so long, and also yeah, gave me a long time for extra world building and
Yeah,
that like I
definitely.
could do on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, my first fantasy novel took I think it was 9 years from beginning to like first idea to publication, so not quite as long as yours, but still like it was something I was like I kept putting away and then bringing back out, and then no, it's
Yeah.
not time, and then but I was just like, you know what? This is gonna be I'm gonna figure it out, and then I eventually did, and I'm so glad that I didn't completely give up on it because a lot of
Yeah.
people they have their first idea and they give up on it basically, and I think it's sad. I mean, if it's what they need to do, it's what they need to do, but I'm always on the side of encouraging them to keep going with it, even if it's not the first thing they put in the world. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
fair
so
enough. I agree.
back to the book. So I guess it's partially real world and partially fantasy world, but tell us about this fantasy world and the magic systems within it. How does the magic work? What inspired the world? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, Our Way is the name of the world. It's like a high fantasy world, kind of similar to Narnia or Middle Earth in the type of world building it is. But because it's also a portal world, like you said, it's connected to not only Earth but many other parallel worlds out there that have similarities and differences. It follows a similar evolution to Earth for our way, but obviously different in a lot of ways. They're mainly in the sense that like elemental and celestial magic are at the core of our way, so they're infused like on a molecular level in the core and biology of the world. So some of the species that evolve are imbibed with these magics as well.
Cool.
So, so the magic system is elemental and celestial. Uh, and at the point where a spark from embers starts, it's elemental magic is kind of the only one that's being openly wielded because celestial magic is actually forbidden. So the elemental magic is like on a broad uh, spectrum there, it includes earth, water, fire, air, basic four kind of elements. I say on a broad spectrum because, of course, within that, there's lots of room for different things that can be specialized in. Let's say that, I guess. um,
Sub-elements.
yeah. And then the celestial magic includes like sun, stars, moon, and void magics. And yeah, what inspired it, I mean, I've always been inspired by nature. So our way is also like it's a young enough world still that many of the residents revere nature and want to protect it. And it's, some of the main conflict in the Spark from Embers actually revolves around a group of people called the Red Paths who desire change in the world and have a vision for advancement, kind of like an industrial revolution, and in our world. So there's sort of an environmentalism versus industrialization kind of theme underlying the first book. So nature-based magic just kind of clicked and felt right for me for the magic system, and because I'm always inspired by nature anyway, and then a lot of the themes kind of connect to that too. So yeah.
So dues can't speak. Does everyone have the ability to use magic in the world, or is it only certain people? Like, what is the criteria? Can you learn it, or do you have to be born with it, and yada yada?
Good question. Yeah, it not everyone has it. You do have to be born with it. So it goes back to that evolutionary piece where it's some it's not every person in a species who has that magic, but it's definitely like in their DNA and born with it rather than something that they can learn. And yeah, so if they don't have, there's varying degrees, of course, like people are strong, some people are stronger than others and have, the magic in different ways. And they might be stronger in like one element over the other, or can only do one element, or they can do all of them. There's like a lot of variation there, but definitely it's not something that everybody has. It's something that they're born with. So
Cool. No, I like
yeah.
it. My books have elemental magic too, so I always love hearing about.
Awesome. Yeah.
Um, so more about the world. So in our way, does your world have a religion or any special holidays or customs and traditions and all that fun stuff?
I mean, there's certainly holidays and customs and traditions, mostly to do with like changing of the seasons or maybe celebration in honor of, there's these beings called keepers in the world, which I can get to in a second, but they're important, figures, but not deities. So it's not like they're, worshipped or anything, but sometimes in, sort of honor of them, there could be celebrations or, even just celebrating like important milestones or moments in history, right? So there are those kinds of celebrations, but not religious holidays. There's no, there's certainly like spirituality, I would say, in the world, but no like organized religion. So yeah, the closest thing would be to deities would be the keepers. The keepers were the first sentient beings in our way, so they're actually immortal, and they act as representatives of the different elements. So they protect like the balance of life and the balance of the elements, but mostly stay out of like societal conflicts or, anything to do with um, not protecting, the elements that they're kind of in charge of. They live on an isolated continent, and they only intervene in things if like the elements that they're supposed to be protecting are in danger. So then they might intervene to kind of, make sure that the balance there is still kept. But um, there's four of the keepers, one for fire, one air, one water, one earth. Although by the time we're at the events of the first book of Spark from Embers, the Keeper of Fire has been outcast for centuries, actually. And he was stripped of his Keeper title and some of his powers and banished to a different continent, to the continent of Carmel, which is where most of the main series takes place. And yeah, so, but they're certainly like revered and respected, but they're not deities. They're not, there's no organized religion or worshiping of them. So, yeah.
Very intriguing. So here's the next question. How do your main character and villain or villains relate to the magical aspects of your world? Obviously, we're trying to keep this without spoilers, so what you
Yeah.
can say without spoiling, but how do they, view magic and all that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a spoiler because I think I mentioned both of them in my synopsis of my book, so it should be fine. But yeah, so Sadie, our main character, when she enters our way from Earth through a portal, she discovers first that she has elemental magic. So fire magic is actually her element that she excels in. Um, and as I've mentioned earlier, like most magic wielders either have, like an element that they're really strong in, or you know, that they're weaker in, but there's like variation there. But hers is fire magic that she excels in, and that's the one that she uses first and the most. And that's already a little controversial. The fact that fire magic is her best element, because the keeper that I mentioned that was outcast and banished, that was the keeper of fire. So Vashi is his name, and he's associated with a lot of evil deeds in the history of the world. So the fact that anytime somebody's really strong in fire magic, there's always some wariness around that as well. So that's already a bit controversial for her. But then she does discover, as I do mention in my synopsis too, that she also has an affinity for celestial magic, which is the one that's forbidden.
Nice. Good for her. She's doing really well.
Yeah. So, she, finds herself, I don't want to say on the wrong side of the magic system, but definitely
Unlucky.
controversial. Yeah. And then in terms of the villain, the main villain from In a Spark from Embers is a Red Path commander named Griswold. That group that I mentioned that was trying to kind of further the sort of industrial revolution aspect of things. So he actually doesn't have any magic. He's, commander in that position, but no magic. But he does have plenty of logic and cunning, and that drives his purpose of trying to advance the Red Path agenda essentially. So. Yeah, I think that's all I'll say in terms of avoiding spoilers there.
Yeah. It's a hard one when doing this
Yeah.
kind of talk, but I feel like authors don't often get a chance to talk about their world building and magic because
Yeah.
people are like wary of the spoilers, but like it's so much fun to create and I just want to talk to everybody about it because it's just so
I
exciting.
I agree. It's some of my favorite parts of writing is getting to do all the world building and creating those systems and those uh, fun things that yeah
Yeah, it's
like
such a
are not
large
always talked
part
about.
of the whole process.
It is, yeah.
Okay, what I got next? Try to read my own writing here. Um, what is your favorite fun fact about the world or the magic system?
So I think for me, for like sort of a fun fact about it, and a thing that I think is kind of unique about the elemental and celestial magic systems that I have, is because it's a story where it's not just taking place in our way in the fantasy world. There's portal worlds, and specifically Earth plays, a big role in our world, right? So as I sort of mentioned, I think earlier for my series tagline, there's the world of our way is bound to Earth by a secret of electrical science. So bringing the science kind of element in is something that I think is a unique and fun aspect of it. There's some, without saying spoilers too much, there's some people in Carmel with a profound interest in Earth's technological advancements. So specifically to do with electrical science and the giant leaps being taken in the years preceding World War One and during World War One in those fields. So there's a lot of exploration of that when we're in the Earth POVs, and I think that's a cool thing about the magic system is how throughout Carmel's history, but especially in the main series where we're at, combining the idea of combining science and magic for more powerful results is something that we see a bit. Yeah.
Definitely would be useful
It
for
almost
war.
Yeah, and it almost gives like some of the, elemental, nature-based kind of magic a bit of a steampunk vibe at times, I would say. I've
I
heard
like
that from some of my readers that there's, yeah. I would never describe my book as steampunk, but like just having, a little taste of it here and there. Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. So then kind of like a buddy question, what is your favorite world or magic system that you've read about? So not yours, but like what is your favorite one?
I think the fictional world is easy. It's maybe cliche in the world of fantasy, but I can't help it. It would be Middle Earth. Tolkien's world is just deeply rooted in like my soul, so it's the place in that my mind and heart can escape to just like whenever I want to, and it's applicable in so many of like everyday moments. So, in terms of favorite fantasy world out there, I think I gotta say Middle Earth. Um, Magic system's harder because, Tolkien doesn't really have like the specific magic system when we talk
Yeah.
about, those kind of things. So it's not really, that's like not the part that I love about Middle Earth. I don't. This is a harder one because I feel like I've read a lot of fantasy books, but not enough at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I know there's so much out there that um, explores like really cool, unique magic systems, and I know I haven't like read them all and touched on them all. So, but I will say just types of magic systems. I mean, I obviously Elemental is probably one of my favorites, and that's why I write it. So I do love reading any book that has elemental based magic. I'm always intrigued to see like how they do it and what makes it unique and what different directions people go with it. Um, I've also found a lot of books that have like soul magic, and I find that intriguing too. So, I would say like my favorite magic systems that I come across are ones that like have a consequence as well. So like it's
Yeah.
not just easy to use the magic all the time, or it's not just like um yeah, without some sort of effect for the characters. So if if there's something that they have to go through or not suffer necessarily, but like something that just kind of makes the stakes a little bit higher for using the magic. I'm always intrigued by that. Whether it's something as simple as like this magic is not allowed, or or that it has like a physical toll on their body, or whatever it is. I don't know if there's something that kind of balances out the fact that like they can use magic, then I find that the most intriguing usually. So yeah.
Yeah. In my series it's pretty simple, but like if you use it too much it will kill you.
Yeah, even exactly like stuff like that. Yeah, where there's like limitations and not necessarily like all powerful all the time, but yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
it
doesn't have its
can
limits, and you can build up the tolerance, but it's very dangerous at the same time to you and to other people.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, I love those kinds of ones.
All right, second last question. Do you listen to music when you write, and if so, what?
Yes, I do. It has to be instrumental. I can't listen to
Me
anything
too.
with words in it. I actually I think it's like a fairly well-known channel, so you might even know it. But the Ambient Worlds channel on YouTube, it's like my go-to because they do like movie soundtracks and some of my favorite like franchises, but in like a kind of calming, relaxing way that's not like blaring out, the most action packed
Yeah.
parts usually, but like just kind of immersing you into the ambience of the world. So that's my favorite channel to listen to when I'm writing. But really any instrumental music, it varies. I can put on anything really, and as long as it's not too like moments where you're like, the
Yeah.
jumpy like moments, right, that take you out of the writing, then it usually helps for that for sure. I can write in silence too, and sometimes I do just turn off the music and like, no, I need to like really focus on this moment. But for the most part, yeah, I like having music in the background.
Yeah, I almost a lot of the times need the music to focus. Like it puts me in the zone. I listen to instrumental as well. Lots of like How to Train Your Dragon soundtracks and Middle
Nice.
Earth soundtracks and all that. But you're right, like
Yeah.
it has to be a consistent volume. Like if it's like little piano sounds and all of a sudden it's like crescendos, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. That will
But
take me out of it a bit for
yeah,
sure. But if
but
it's yeah, I agree. I kind of have to start with music to get like in the zone, and then yeah, once in a while I'll stop it. But for the most part, yeah.
yeah. And then I guess the last question, pretty simple. Well, maybe not simple, could be complicated, I guess. What is next for you, in this series, and do you have other books? Just tell us about the future of Kaylea Prime writing.
Yes, so well, as we mentioned, I guess at the beginning, I do have other books. I have my two novellas that are published, A Ballad of Hate and Hope and A Tragedy of Sacrifice. There we go. I love them.
Nice.
So this is a spark from Embers, by the way. But yeah, so A Ballad of Hate and Hope was the first one that I wrote and released before I even released A Spark from Embers, and it was kind of my like teaser for the world, and you know something that is just kind of introducing us to the world a bit. But it's a novelette, really. It's pretty small. But that one takes place about 150 years before Spark from Embers, and uh, has sort of pirate kind of vibes to
Nice.
it, and it does have somebody from Earth that comes to our way, but most of it takes place in our way. Um, and then A Tragedy of Sacrifice is the one that I released most recently in October. And that one is all the sort of spooky, witchy vibes to it. And it takes place during the American Revolution era for the most part. It does start in like the Salem witch trial area or era, not area. And in the prologue, and then yeah, most of it's during the American Revolution era. So it's kind of like Hamilton meets Wicked, I guess.
Nice.
And it's yeah, they're different sets of characters. None of the characters are ones that are in the main series installments, but they all connect to
Right.
that, relate to, they either explore like a different part of the magic system or a different race or a different, part of like the history that will eventually tie into the main series. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so what I'm working on next would be the second book in the series, so the sequel to A Spark from Embers. I am working on book two right now. Um, that one I can't say too much without spoilers, I guess, but it does have a different vibe to the first book. I'll just say that,
Nice.
and a little darker, a little more like um, academia, I guess, dark academia. There's some
Nice. Okay.
of those
Okay.
vibes in there. And then I'm also working on a novella, which is kind of almost the opposite in terms of vibes. It's more light academia, and it's uh, I mean both to do with academies though, which is kind of cool. But yeah, and that one I don't know which one's going to release first between book two and the next novella, but the next novella is all taking place in our way, so it doesn't actually have most like all of my other books have an element of Earth and an element of our way. Actually, a tragedy of sacrifice more takes place on Earth than our way, but it's has both there. This is the only one that I've written so far that it will just be our way, and takes place much further back in the history of the world than any of the other ones so far. And yeah, we'll probably feel quite different than the other ones, but I'm really excited about writing it. Features dragons heavily, I'll say that. Which
Love
is
it.
fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Like you're all of it just sounds so cool to me. Like you weave in so many different obviously I haven't read it, but just from listening to you, it's like there's so many different elements happening, but they all sound like they go together so well. So congrats
Uh,
on that.
I do love, I had to like, that's part of what I love about historical fantasy too, is it lets me kind of play in lots of different areas of our history, but also like, sort of making that parallel to the history of a fantastical world and how those can kind of interplay. It's like one of my favorite things about writing this series. So yeah, it's been fun getting to explore different time periods and different ways that it interacts with my fantasy world. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. That's all the questions I have. I know it's like a short little thing, but I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, of
And
course. Thank you.
yeah, so for those of you who are watching the replay, if you have any questions for Kaylee, definitely leave them in the comments, or for myself, and we will get back to you. This will be posted as a collaborative reel or a collaborative video, so it'll go on both of our accounts. And if you're an author interested in being interviewed, also comment below and I'll add you to my list. Kaylee, if you want to finish out with telling us where we can get your lovely books, that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So my books are all available through Amazon for ebooks and sorry, the ebook for A Ballad of Hate and Hope is not available on Amazon, but everything else is, and paperback and hardcover. You can also get it if you're Canadian. It's in Indigo bookstores, both online and in a few physical bookstores as well in British Columbia if you're there. It's also available through like Barnes and Noble and other retailers like that. And I just recently expanded the reach for Tragedy of Sacrifice for the ebooks. So it's pretty much available through like anywhere you can get ebooks now for that one.
Awesome.
And working on getting the other ones sort of more free of Amazon and
Yeah, it's a long
wider
process,
spread
but
there too. So yeah. But yeah, there's links in my bio for Instagram, also on my website. You can order, all the universal links are there, so you can order from there as well.
perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for talking about A Spark from Embers, and thank you to everybody who is watching or will.
Oh,
Right.
sorry. But yes, thank you for having me.
No
And yeah,
problem.
I'm excited to get to see more of these episodes as you do them as well, and think it's a really fun thing. So thank you for doing it.
Thank you. I hope it really kicks off. I will talk to you later. Thank you again.
All right, thanks. Bye.